Alright, what's up? Artie here, and welcome to a new Call of the Ghost Best Class setup video. So in today's video I want to show you my new or my most recent MTAR-X setup. You've probably seen me use this setup quite a bit within my previous few live episodes. If I'm not mistaken, I used it like 3 times these last 2 weeks, so quite a bit. Same thing goes for my new Vector setup. I'll also post a video about that one sometime soon in the near future. But as you all know, the SMGs actually received a bit of a buff. If I'm not mistaken, the Bison and the CBJS both got buffed the most. I think that the K7 is the one that could use a buff though, the K7 and the CBJ. Like those two are still fairly bad, especially in comparison to like the other guns in this game. But at the moment, the MTAR and also the Vector, those two are absolutely amazing. Especially on the new DLC maps, because the new DLC maps are of course like medium to small sized maps. And on those maps you will encounter a lot of people at close range. So these SMGs definitely do shine on that map. Same thing goes for the Ripper of course. But my Ripper setup so far hasn't really changed yet. Well, it's changed a bit. I mean, I got rid of the silencer and everything. But so far I haven't really found a setup just yet that like suits me the best or something like that. But that's just a matter of time. Anyway, so for the setup I've got the MTAR-X with the foregrip and the red dot sights. As always, no secondary, lethal or tactical. For perks, sleight of hand, quick draw, scavenger, amplify and focus. And then finally the assault strike package with the guard dog, the sentry gun and the bell heights. Now as always, I'll simply like break down the setup itself. That's what I always do first with the attachments and the perks. But in this video I mainly wanted to focus on how you should use this setup, how you should play with this gun. Because like I said, the MTAR-X together with the Vector, those two are very powerful SMGs at this point in time. They of course work best at like close to mid-range. Though I have to admit that I personally think that the MTAR-X is a better close-range weapon than the Vector. But the Vector is a better mid-range weapon than the MTAR. I actually got that question on, I think it was yesterday's video, maybe a video before that. But regardless, that's a little something to keep in mind as well. This gun works wonders at close range due to its fire rates. But it's still pretty good at like mid-range due to the lack of recoil this gun has. And that is also why I decided to go for the red dot sights. Just because the red dot sight makes it a lot easier for you to stay on target at mid to long range. Now I have to admit, I personally would not recommend you to use this gun at long range. It is possible to get a kill at long range, though it's not something that I would recommend you to do. Because if your opponent is using an assault rifle and that person can aim properly, then you will simply end up dead before you even so much know it. But if someone doesn't notice where you're at or where you're shooting him from, then you can very easily just tap the trigger, burst fire a little bit, and then you should be able to also get long range kills. That's why I went for red dot sights. The foregrip of course simply to reduce some of the recoil this gun has. The foregrip and also the silencer are probably the 2 most used attachments in Call of the Ghost, or at least for me they are. Like the foregrip, the silencer and the red dot sights. The foregrip is just helpful on literally any gun apart from maybe the Remington and the SC2010. It just reduces some of the recoil, which can always help you out. Then my first perk is sleight of hand. As I said, I use this setup mainly to rush your routes. Mainly to get up close and personal. And in those situations you want to make sure that you can reload pretty quickly. Because otherwise you're going to get taken out very often whilst reloading. That's what's been happening to me a lot lately. So over these last few weeks, I want to say weeks, maybe days, but I'm pretty sure that most of you have also noticed this, but I've been using sleight of hand a lot. It basically just reduces the amount of time that it takes you to reload your weapon by like 50% if I'm not mistaken, maybe 25. Not entirely sure about that, because it also like matters in terms of like which gun you're using. For an example, if you're using an LMG, even with sleight of hand, it still takes ages to reload that thing. But with the MTAR, I think it's like 1.5 seconds when you use sleight of hand. Then next up, quick draw. I practically always use quick draw. Quick draw allows you to zoom in faster. Now some people prefer stalker over quick draw. I personally always go for quick draw over stalker. And in this case, because we're using an SMG, you already have that effect that you move faster whilst you're aiming down your sights. Just because you're using an SMG. So quick draw is probably one of the best perks to use because it allows you zoom in faster like I said, but this makes it a lot easier for you to win close range gunfights. Next up, Scavenger. Scavenger is a pretty straightforward perk. I personally use it just because I tend to go on pretty decent streaks. Like, that's the entire idea behind it. Once I get like 4 or 5 kills, I don't want to run out of ammo. When I'm in situations like that, I want to continue to use my own weapon just because I know how to use it. I've used those attachments more often, so I kind of just know how the gun feels, how it works and everything. And in those situations, I don't want to pick up a different weapon. Then next up, Amplify, just to make it a little bit easier for you to hear your opponents, their footsteps. It's already pretty easy in Call of Duty Ghosts to hear footsteps just as it is. Amplify just makes it even more easy. And because we're not using a silencer, I personally thought that Amplify would be a better fit than Dead Silence. But you can also switch Amplify for Dead Silence, of course. It doesn't really matter. And then finally, Focus, which is my #1 most overused perk in this game. Focus is essentially toughness from Black Ops 2. It basically makes sure that you don't flinch off of targets when you're in gunfights. And it also reduces the sway of your weapon for when you're aiming their sights. So Focus is always a perk that will help you out in literally any gunfights. Anyway, then once again, for my score streaks, the Guard Dog, the Sentry Gun, the Bellhind. Though I have to admit that it doesn't really matter which score streak you use. That just comes down to personal preference. Anyway, that was it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, definitely be sure to show us support by leaving a like rating. Now later today, I'll also post another Black Ops 2 Road to Prestige episode. That one will go up somewhere along the lines of like 10 PM GMT tonight. So keep an eye on your sub box for that one as well. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.